'Cause I'm broken when I'm worn so, and I don't feel like I am strong enough.
That's a video that was posted in 2014. That was Jerry Browning covering the song Broken. And in the description box, you can see that that song is dedicated to his daughter, Vivian. Now in 2018, I'm running into different videos online, one in particular that tugged at my heart of Vivian asking to find out where her father is, or to at least hear from him to know that he's okay. Apparently, he used to teach her that song on guitar, and now she can't even listen to it because she feels like she is broken. I will show you the Facebook page where you can go and see those videos for yourself. They include another very touching video of a special gift that is given to her. It's a stuffed animal, and when she squeezes it, it has recordings of her father in it. It's really, really touching. So I do recommend that you guys check it out. The Facebook page is facebook.com/Find Jerry Browning. So that's the official page. Is there something that we can do to help this family feel a bit less broken? It's time to turn on the Searchlight. Hey everyone, John Lorden here with another episode of Brainscratch Searchlight, another case we're looking into today where there's not a whole lot of information out there, but there's enough details we want to help raise exposure to. Maybe we can figure out what's going on and where is Jerry Browning. As a matter of fact, I can't even find a NamUs profile on him currently. I have seen a few references to people that have been trying to get him into NamUs. I'm not totally sure what's going on there, so I might reach out to them myself and just see if there's something that I can help with in terms of getting his profile completed. I don't know if I have to re-enter it. I don't know, but I'll reach out to them and ask about this case and see if we can help with that as well. So instead of starting at NamUs, we're going to start at missingadultskids.com. They're a pretty good resource for pulling together some posters, getting the basics of the information together. So I really appreciate them being out there and trying to help raise exposure to cases just like this one, particularly these cases that don't have a lot of media. It's really important that we have resources like this. So thank you, missingadultskids.com. Here we can see we've got the poster. Age last seen was 37, and he went missing on August 1st of 2018. So, we're now past the 4-month mark. Of course, a lot of people are concerned, and there's a big reason for them to be concerned we're going to learn about as we go through this as well. He stands at 5 foot 10 inches tall, weighs around 220 pounds, has brown hair, blue eyes. And as you can see, even in these two photos, he seems to change up his facial hair considerably. And I've seen some other photos where his hair really grows out. For marks and clothing, a scar on his trachea, a tribal tattoo on his right bicep, a tattoo of the letters JB on his right thigh. For clothing, he was wearing jeans and a gray University of Alabama short sleeve shirt with a green logo. Now, I went looking for green logos for University of Alabama. I couldn't find any in particular. So if you guys bump into logos you think might fit that description, if you could link them in the comments below, that might be helpful for this case as well. For circumstances, Jerry Browning was last seen leaving Eliza Coffey Memorial Hospital on Wednesday, August 1st, 2018. Jerry has a health condition that requires medical attention, which is, of course, part of the reason why we're so concerned here. There's additional information, but we're going to get some of those same details going to the article. So let's go ahead and start with WAFF.com, August 20th, 2018. And I did hear that there was a bit of a time lag in terms of when he went missing. His last sighting is August 1st at the hospital. There's even footage of him leaving the hospital. But it took many days before a missing persons report was filed. I believe possibly around 2 weeks. I don't have a great explanation about why that is. I get the feeling that he may have not been living at home necessarily. Some reports I'm seeing are saying that he lived with his mother. Some comments I'm seeing are saying that he could possibly have been living out of his truck or a trailer somewhere. It strikes me that no one noticed he was missing for a good number of days. So either it was normal for him to kind of go off on his own for periods of time, or his living conditions might have not been that solid where someone would immediately notice that he was missing within a day or two. But let's continue here. The Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office says they are asking for the public's help in locating 37-year-old Jerry Browning. And here's another photo of him. We're going to look at several before the end of the video so you can get a really good sense of what he looks like here. Continuing over at another article from WAFF 48. This one was written September 6th, 2018, and we get some more detail here. Mandy Harris, the mother of Browning's daughter, said Browning was being treated for his diabetes when he went against medical advice and left the hospital. She said the hospital has Browning on camera leaving and walking towards West College Street in Florence. So let's just take a look at a map real quick. So the hospital is down here, Eliza Coffey Memorial Hospital. And this walking path that you're seeing from it is the path to the only address that I've seen for him, which is one particular mention that he's living with his mother, and that's about 8 miles away. Now, there is a video interview that Mandy did on this article as well, where she's talking about some of the circumstances around him leaving. It appears that he called to try to get a ride to his current girlfriend's grandmother's house. I don't know whatever came of that. It's just the additional detail I have in terms of where he may have been going when he left here. Quote, "I just miss him. I want him to come back, and I just want to know if he's okay," said his daughter, Vivian Browning. A community search was held on September 23rd. It started at Eliza Coffey Memorial Hospital. And from what I can see, at least on the Facebook page, it looks like about 40 people or so participated in that search. I don't believe anything was found in particular. I've kind of gone through the history on the Facebook postings. There was some mention at one point of a body being located nearby, but then the person managing the Facebook page said that it did not turn out to be him. I'm not positive who's managing the Facebook page. I don't know if it could be possibly his mother or possibly the mother of his daughter, Mandy. His daughter Vivian, but the mother's name is Mandy. I think it could be Mandy that's managing the Facebook page, but I'm not 100% certain on that. So a couple of good videos in this particular article. I'll put this at the top of the list of sources down below so you can check this out for additional information as well. Moving on to timesdaily.com. Family, friends worried about missing man. And this is from September 26th, 2018. Quote, "He has a mother and daughter who haven't heard from him in 60 days, said Justin Simeon, a longtime friend of Browning. Reports indicate the 37-year-old Browning lived with his mother on Sylvan Street, which is off Danley Road in the Underwood community. That's the location that I had marked on the map. 8 miles is quite a bit. I personally don't think he would have walked that distance. So just hearing that one piece of information that we had from Mandy about him calling for friends, trying to find a ride. I don't know if there was multiple friends that he called. Maybe there was multiple rides he was trying to get. And we also have him leaving the hospital when they don't want him to, suffering from, I believe it's type 1 diabetes that he's working with. So I don't know what state of mind he was in at this time. It's possible he wasn't making the best decisions for himself. It's just something that we have to keep in mind when we're looking through this case. Back to the quote from his friend. "I've known him for 30 years and he has never done anything like this before," Simeon said. "None of this adds up." Simeon and another longtime friend have been in Florence putting up posters and checking recovery centers and shelters, talking to anyone who may have seen Browning. Now, I have not seen any mention of any type of narcotic use at all, anywhere. The only little hint of it I'm getting here is that they're checking recovery centers, but I don't know if they're just doing that because of potentially what he's dealing with in terms of his diabetes. I don't know if other people might assume that maybe he's on drugs or on, some type of alcoholism kick or something like that, and they're taking him to one of those centers. So this really doesn't tell us that there might necessarily be drugs involved in this situation either. Sergeant Matt Horton, an investigator with the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office, said the department is doing all it can to try and locate Browning. Now, here's an interesting thing. Browning's description and photo have been entered into the National Databank of Missing People, and this is according to Sergeant Matt Horton. I don't know if he's talking about an internal system that is used by law enforcement, which I don't think he's talking about that one, because in the next sentence, they're talking about a law enforcement-based system that is something all the agencies can hook into. The way that previous sentence is described, that sounds like NamUs to me. So I don't know if he tried to enter him at NamUs and something is wrong with the record and it hasn't been posted publicly yet. Something along those lines. I'm really not sure. But in particular with a case like this, we have potential medical issues that are going on here. Very important for him to be entered into NamUs, just in case. No one wants to think this way, but we have to consider everything when we're looking at these cases. Just in case there's been a body discovered somewhere and there's no identity, no ID that's with that body. NamUs is our best tool for trying to link those records together, but we can't do that if we don't have a record for this guy actually entered there. On top of that, I'm really hoping that the family has kept some form of his DNA. Hopefully the police have already asked for items that might contain his DNA, toothbrush, hairbrush, things like that. But if they haven't asked for it, hopefully the family has been smart enough to take some of those items, put them in bags and, hold on to them if nothing else, because someone should be asking for that information if NamUs has actually been working on this and notified of this case. Simeon said friends and family are concerned about Browning because he is an insulin-dependent diabetic. So I did just a little research on that, tried to understand it a little better. I found this article over at Timesalin. The onset of insulin-dependent diabetics is sudden. One day you're fine, the next you're experiencing fatigue, extreme hunger, frequent urination, blurred vision, tingling and numbness in your feet, and dry skin and mouth. You are nearing or already in the state called hyperglycemia, in which your blood sugar level is too high. So with these types of side effects, it doesn't sound like it's too crazy to deal with, but there's an issue that happens if this goes on too long. So let's go back to the article and learn a little bit more from the expert they quoted here. Dr. Evans Nimako, a specialist at ECM Hospital, said, depending on how bad a diabetic they are, maybe 3 to 5 days, they will become sick. He continues, an insulin-dependent diabetic who misses injections can become dehydrated, toxic, be disorientated, and could pass out. I've even been told that in the most extreme cases, they could potentially fall into a coma. So some really bad things can happen here if he doesn't get the help that he actually needs. And of course, we're talking about this 4 months after the fact. So we got plenty to be concerned about, obviously, with this case. I'm not sure about the disorientation, about how far that goes. I don't know if that means that it could be impacting his memory. I don't know if it has put him in a mindset where maybe he's not ready to go home. Maybe he's living among the homeless or something along those lines. So there's really a lot to consider here. And another problem I'm having in terms of understanding this case is kind of what leads up to his disappearance. We know that he got to the hospital, but what happened to actually take him there? Was he there for a number of days? Did he check himself out? Was there some other issues or problems leading up to this? Apparently stress can impact this condition a bit as well. Did he have stressors in his life? There's a lot to the backstory that we're missing here to really give us a bit of a better picture in terms of understanding things. But for the basics, that's about it. We know at about 1 p.m. on August 1st, he leaves that hospital. Now, according to some information that we get from the Facebook page, let me go ahead and bring that up for you here. And this is a post from the person managing it. I also want to let everyone know the things we know for sure about Jerry disappearing. 1:18 p.m., Jerry was seen on camera leaving ECM Hospital in Florence on August 1st, 2018. Around 7 p.m. on that same day, that's the last time that his cell phone was active on the west side of Florence. So here we can see the outline of Florence has been marked on the Google map. And I know the hospital is down here pretty much on the south tip. So to hear that they're getting cell phone activity on the west side of this city would lead me to believe that it's somewhere up here. Doesn't look like he's really on his way home, at least according to that previous path that we had drawn, which was pretty much a straight shot north from the hospital. So unfortunately, we don't know enough about where he could be headed, but that is what we do know in terms of the facts that are being told from this specific post. There is one more. 17 days passed before Jerry was ever even reported missing. Now, I'm trying not to draw too many conclusions based on these messages, but it's just the fact that that's stated here as one of these facts, and the way it's stated is making me wonder if the person that made this post is concerned about the people that he was staying with. I don't know if he might have been staying with other friends, maybe a circle that this person wasn't happy with, but I'm just getting a little hint of they're not happy about the fact that it took 17 days for him to be reported missing. Is that an accusation of some kind for the people that he was staying with? Possibly. And I have another message that might give us a little bit of a stronger sense of that as well. But before we do that, let's take a look at al.com. We have another article about him, but it's not the article I want to review with you guys. It's actually one of the comments. This is from someone that calls themselves Gingerbread. She's saying he did odd jobs for a company in Lawrence County a couple years ago. Sometimes he lived in a trailer in Lawrence. Sometimes he lived in his truck. He took his mother for dialysis or something. He wasn't consistent coming to work, so I can't blame anyone for taking a while to figure out he was missing. Praying for him and his mom. Of course, we have to keep in mind that's just a comment. I just wanted to share it with you guys because we have so little information about the conditions of his life, where he was living, what was going on at this point. We have one article saying he's living with his mom, but we're seeing information here that might not necessarily be the case. And if he was living with his mom, I don't know that it would have taken 17 days for the missing persons report to be filed. So a lot to think about here. At a different Facebook page, Missing Homeless Org, they have a post about Jerry as well, and it makes a really important point. Jerry has a teenage daughter at home that is worried about her daddy. She is begging social media to share his flyer and to be her eyes. And I hope you guys will join me in doing that. If you have friends or family that live in the Alabama area, please share this video with them. Let's try to raise exposure to this case. It has not gotten a lot of press. This is one of the lightest cases. Quite honestly, if there was even less detail, like one less fact than we have here, I probably wouldn't have even had enough to do a video on this. That's how light it is. So let's get this man's face out there. Let's make sure that everyone is aware of Jerry Browning and that we're looking for him. If you have any information about Jerry or where he might be, please look in the description box below, use that contact information, and send it in to the investigators so they can check it out. This family really needs someone out there to be a hero, step up and do the right thing. We can see we've got several recent photos, and this is apparently the most recent. This is a photo taken the day that he disappeared, and this is hosted also at Find Jerry Browning on Facebook. So if you need a copy of this for any reason, you can find it there. So what is going on with this case? Well, the person that is managing the Find Jerry Browning page made a post on October 5th. Maybe there's something else at play here that we don't know about. I have very strong feelings about what happened to Jerry. I think someone knows something. No, I know someone knows something. Someone knows more than they're telling, and I'm almost positive that person is right under our noses. I just hope they come forward before the guilt drives them insane. I hope they don't wait till it's too late. You know what happened. You know where he went. Why won't you just tell me about it? Just tell me where to find him, dead or alive. Vivian deserves to know. So as you can see, a very passionate plea there, and kind of leading us to a different direction for this case, that there might be some element of foul play involved. I just don't know enough to really analyze that. I've given you guys everything I could find on this case. I know it's not much, but I think it's really important we do share that specifically for Vivian. I really want this family to have some answers about where Jerry is And I'm hoping that you guys will join me in being a part of that.
All right, sun's going down here at my special spot in Alabama, and like a wacko, I'm out here singing songs.
Just miss him and I want him to come back. I just want to know he's okay.
I want to give Gretchen a big thank you. She let me know about this case through my website. I believe she actually interacted with 2 of Jerry's friends that were in the area searching for him. She basically told them about me, and on top of that wanted to take the extra step, and she typed up a bunch of information, sent me several links about this case. So Gretchen, thank you so much for caring about this and for taking these extra steps. You really helped this happen. Between you and Vivian, really hard for me to ignore a case like this. So thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Before we move on to the comment review for a previous episode of Brainscratch Searchlight, I have several new patrons to thank, starting with Scott Terrier, Jill Vandermay, Lori Bullers, Grace Loring, Katie Guston, Carol Matson, and Michela. Thank you very much for supporting me in my work and keeping me here doing this. If you want to join on either Patreon, or you can also send donations in through PayPal, you can find all that stuff at lordandarts.com. There's also merchandise. Anything that you do from lordandarts.com basically helps keep me here doing what I really appreciate being able to do, which is help other people. So thank you guys so much for being a part of that. So it's time for comment review, but we're going to do it a little bit different because last week's episode was so long, I couldn't get to the comments from the previous week. So this week we're talking about Cheryl Coker. That is the case where she filed for divorce and several days later disappeared, left all her personal items behind after she dropped off her daughter at school. Very troubling case. Let's start with a comment from Sarah Smile. This is excellent. Thank you for this video. For the more people that sees this, the more exposure it gets. I worked with Cheryl and have been friends with her for over 17 years. I just pray she finds her way home to her family. Thank you so much, Sarah, for taking the time to let us know about that. And I hope I'm with you. I mean, I hope we see a good outcome in this case. There are so many cases like this that really bother me when we're talking about some type of potential dispute that happens right before the person goes missing. But in this case, we also have 2 kids that don't know where their mother is. And maybe Cheryl is out there. Maybe things were getting too stressful and she just had to get away from it all. If that's the case, I hope she takes whatever time she needs, but she gets back to her kids as soon as she can. I know many of us are worried about a different outcome, though. And let's continue with a comment from What the F blog. A mom that fights for custody isn't gonna run away, period. That's part of the problem I'm having with this story as well. It just seems like she was taking all these steps to really make a change in her life. And if she's going to take all those steps, why is she all of a sudden going to take a completely different route that isn't using any of the benefit of those steps that she had taken? That's where I'm really struggling with this. And I think that there might be something else at play, which many of you out there also shared that concern in the comments. Let's move on to a comment from Farkle Beans. I personally don't think it's too weird to have no one know what she was wearing the day she went missing. Typically, I would have to look down to tell you what I'm wearing, let alone someone else. I feel terrible that it's the same for my child. I'm busy chatting with her, doing her hair, asking about homework, etc., and not usually noticing what she's wearing. And yeah, many of you commented that, and I have to say, honestly, guys, in general, I have a terrible memory for stuff like that. And it wasn't until I read through all your comments and I really thought about it, like even right now, could I recall what my wife is wearing today? Probably not. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. Essentially, we get used to seeing the people and all the people in our lives and all their clothes, and we kind of have a sense of like what their style is and maybe even specific outfits that they wear. But then to tie that to specific days in some way, pretty tough thing for my brain as well. Now, I know memory will vary from person to person, but I'm actually in that group with you guys where I understand that we might not have a great description now, but it wasn't until you guys challenged that thought for me that I came to that. So thank you guys. That's a big part of the reason why I really appreciate doing this and having your feedback. So let's continue. M. Barnes, her husband says, I loved her, which could reflect the status of their relationship heading into a divorce. For example, we used to love each other, but no longer, and so are separating. Or he knows she is dead and uses the word in that context. We've certainly seen cases where that tell has happened before. Someone talks about someone in the past tense. But I agree with you, and thank you for pointing out here that it's hard to look at that in this case in particular because we know the divorce is going on, and he could easily be referring to the fact that they are no longer in love. But it does still, I'm glad you're noting it. Pause for concern certainly makes sense when we're talking about a case like this. And there's other elements about this case that are just really pulling a lot of focus in that direction towards the husband. So I get why you guys are looking at it that way as well. Leah Meyer brings up an interesting point. I wonder if the house has a crawl space and if law enforcement checked it, because how does a grown man scrape both elbows? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You know, it's tough because we don't know enough about the husband. We don't know enough about his job. I mean, I know where he works, but I don't know what type of work he necessarily does there. We don't know enough about his hobbies. There are some hobbies where, yeah, you might scrape your elbows pretty regularly. I don't know if you're into hiking or into hunting, or even if you're just kind of sloppy when you're sliding at a softball game. There are ways where you could certainly scrape your elbows. What I find a bit more interesting than that is that he claims that some injuries happened at work. They're trying to find those records to corroborate it, and it seems like law enforcement cannot find those records. So he hurts himself at work and he doesn't report it. Maybe he is the type of person that would have an injury at work and not report it for some reason. I don't know. We just don't know enough about this guy, so it makes it really tough. But I know we're all wondering a lot more about him because the conditions of this case have all of us looking in that direction pretty hard. Thank you for joining me on today's Searchlight, everyone. I really appreciate having you guys out there caring about these cases like I do. Please take care of yourselves and come back on Friday for a brand new Brainscratch. I'll see you there.